I feel like you have to have somebody to talk to. You have, I mean, especially in what we do, where you show up and you're going to fail 7 out of 10 times, it can wear on you. And I think having that somebody there to to hear you out or to talk, to give you some positive self talk is a big key. So like for me, my wife is a big center.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Rays baseball podcast. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Tampa Bay Rays prospect CJ Hinojosa. CJ, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. Good morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are you right now? Looks like you're in a pretty cool spot weather-wise and city-wise.
Yeah, we just got out to Jacksonville, Florida. So we got here yesterday, drove through the day, and we got here about 5:30.
Awesome. And so will you getting ready to begin it? I guess is it a 6-game series? How did the series work in AAA?
Yeah, we'll be 6 games. And then next week when we go home, we'll have 6 games at home and then another 6 at home following that off day. So next week is kind of our jackpot week of being able to be at home for 2 weeks.
Nice. And you've been playing professional ball for a long time. I presume played in a lot of different cities and communities over the years. Do you have a favorite outside of Durham and maybe some of the other places teams that you played for, just a favorite locale that you've been to? Is it Jacksonville? Is it somewhere else?
My favorite would probably have to be on the Pacific Coast side and probably around Vegas.
Okay.
Or like a Tacoma. The ball flies really, really well out there, and it's just the views are awesome.
Nice. Great to hear. So going back a little bit, obviously you're with the Rays organization in AAA, but take us back to your baseball origin, when you started playing and when you realized that, this might be something I could shoot for a career one day.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing. I think I was, my mom tells me all the time I would play. I was like the only kid on the 6-year-old team that wore diapers, and I was still like 4. So I started out pretty early. And I don't think it really set in until I just loved the game. I loved playing. I enjoyed being with my buddies, and I loved going. And I mean, at the time, I guess I never really realized what we were doing, but we were traveling and we were being able to play in different tournaments. It's a little different than what the circuit is now than what it was. We'd have a little bit more of, I guess, local tournaments. Where I'm from in Houston, we would go and play, in Dallas, we would go and play. In Louisiana, we would go to Oklahoma. So it was these big tournaments to us, but I mean, I don't know if they would be considered big now, but being able to go out and play with my buddies, I mean, I didn't really think much of it until I believe 8th grade. 8th grade came around and I was about to be a freshman, and I had the big decision on if I wanted to play football in high school. Which is a big decision in Texas.
Yeah.
And it came down to me not playing. And from then on, it was my parents were like, well, if you're not going to do that other stuff, then baseball can be a way for you to get a scholarship. And from then on, it was like, all right, I'd already loved it. I'd already done it for so long. And it kind of just became a goal or a mission of mine to have that done. And so my parents didn't have to pay for school.
Nice. So baseball and football for your period of time, were there any other sports that you played growing up, or it was mainly those two?
So growing up, I only got to play baseball. And then once I hit middle school and football and basketball became, available for the schools, that's whenever I started playing. And I mean, I was fortunate enough to be athletic enough to, compete. I just don't think that my size was going to be available for me once I got to high school to continue to grow, because these guys were already massive. So football, basketball in middle school, and then I also ran track.
Okay, awesome.
Just kind of had the school spirit,
Right. Absolutely. And then you eventually got drafted out of high school, if I recall, but opted to go the college route. What kind of led to that decision of, hey, I'm going to wait a couple years before I enter the pro ranks?
I think that's probably the best thing that happened to me, to be honest, was I got hurt my senior year, or actually, I got hurt my junior summer going into my senior year. We were playing at Durham, or we were in North Carolina, Cary, North Carolina, at the Team USA complex, and I dove for a ball up the middle, and I had my left shoulder subluxed. And then we continued to play the collegiate team the next day at Durham Stadium, so that was cool to remember. But my first game, my senior year, I tried to slide around the catcher, and we bumped shoulders, and I dislocated and ended up tearing my labrum. So
Mm.
once school once school finished and the draft happened, I had already had surgery, and I was actually on campus already for summer school, and that's whenever I found out that I'd been selected by the Astros. Um, and I think I just I think I needed to. It was more of an eye-opening thing to me. I thought I knew what was going to be coming of the world of who I was becoming and the man that I was becoming, and then all of a sudden to have something like that happen, and I think I still needed to grow. I think I still needed to learn the game more. College taught me a lot about becoming a man, and being on your own every single day,
Right.
having to worry about what you're eating and what you're putting into your body, all the way up to being on time for workouts in class. So I think I needed that coming out of high school. It was more of just do your own thing. And once I got to college and kind of realized that, hey, these guys are a little bit more advanced in life, it was like, hey, this is the right spot. I think I'm in the right place.
Yeah, for sure. And CJ, you've played for multiple organizations over the years, and now with the Tampa Bay Rays. Can you talk about or walk us through how the Rays operate differently or more uniquely than maybe some other organizations? Just what stood out to you of being in this organization compared to others, maybe?
One of my favorite things is they allow you to understand like what it is that you want to do. So like they're not going to. I don't know if you've heard of like, whenever you go to college and you get to college, they're like, hey, we like what you did, but we would like for you to do this instead. So it's like they end up recruiting you sometimes, and then they want to change the player, and that's hard to do because the player has been the player for so long. So for in my case, I've been bouncing around. I think this is my 10th season. I've been bouncing around. This is my sixth org or my fifth org, and they just allow me to be who I am, and they come to me as far as the data and everything that they have. They put it in front of you, and they say, hey, this is what you're doing. This is how I think it could be better, but they don't completely restart. It's not a restart, and I think that goes a long way for the athlete because we've done it for so long. It's hard to repattern certain things. So for them to understand that from the hitting standpoint, um, it's been really, really nice. And just kind of picking small little flaws on how we can get better, um, whether that be pitch selection or whether that means staying in a backside a little bit longer. Instead of restarting and trying to have a whole new setup or a whole new load, that's probably been the biggest thing for me.
It is winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and so much more. So all you have to do is visit fanduel.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON, to make every playoff shot count. So good, I'll repeat it again. FanDuel.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON. FanDuel, they are America's #1 sportsbook.
Right. Now, is that something that they express to you throughout the offseason and spring training and then continually as you're with Durham as well? Because I assume it's probably hard to make some adjustments as you're going through a minor league season like this.
Yeah, I mean, once we got to spring training, it was pretty pretty cool the way that they allowed it. If you needed somebody, or you wanted to go and talk to somebody about something or changing something, they were there for you. It's not like they're going to turn their back on you. But as far as, you coming in and getting your work, you come in and you take care of what you need to take care of. And if you need anything extra or you want anything more, they're there for that. And that's what's been nice. And I think the more that they saw me, the more that they saw what I needed, as far as how to get my swing back. You could always work on your swing, whether you're hitting 350 or you're hitting 250. I mean, your swing, you show up every single day and something's going to be different. You might have, your left hamstring be a little bit tight. It's like, all right, I can't get into this front side as good as I was this past week. I gotta go in and do a little bit more work on the strength side or in the gym to get stretched out so that I can get into that front side leg.
Right, for sure. Now, CJ, during the season, walk us through a typical day from the time you wake up to the time you get to the game to going to bed. Just what is your routine in your process for getting ready for a game?
I'm an early bird, so I wake up anywhere from 8 o'clock to 8:30, and then from there, I get my morning going. I'll have a cup of coffee. If I'm on the road, I like to walk. Kind of like today. We have some nice sites here next to the water. So just kind of get out, walk around, have a cup of coffee, get my day going. I speak with my family every morning, see how they're doing, and to catch up on their sleep. And once I have my good mornings with them, I get ready to start going to the field around 12:31. It's a little different at home than it is away. But here on the Weiss series, I think the buses are like at 2 or 3. I like to get there a little bit early just so I'm not rushed. Once I get into the stadium, I like putting on some music and hanging out for, a good 15-20 minutes. And then once I get done getting changed and everything, it's time to go. I'll start into the weight room, kind of get moving, stretch, maybe a little workout. Get some movement in for me to go and hit. And then once I finish there, after about 30-45 minutes, head on into the cage, get my swings in. And then after cage, it is it's full blown. We go from cage to outside, early ground balls. You have your hand drills to early ground balls, take team ground balls, turn in double plays. And then after that, depending on if you have batting practice outside or if you have batting practice inside, we go in for batting practice. And then after batting practice at home, it's nice because we have about 2 hours after batting practice, or an hour and a half. On the road, you have probably about an hour 15, depending on how long batting practice went. Grab a quick bite to eat and shower up and start getting ready for the game. At home, it's also nice because you have that extra bit of time and you have your own cage. So we have something called a lock-in. So about 30 to 45 minutes, some guys go in an hour before the game. You can go into the cage and see, if you want to see spin off the machine, or if you want to see fastballs off the machine, or if you just want to get extra swings off of an arm, you go in there, take your extra swings and get ready. We call it locking in. And once you get locked in and you finish, it's off to the field.
Right.
Play the game. Hopefully, more than likely, everything goes on our side and we win.
Yeah.
And we have a little dance party inside of the locker room every win, and we hang out. And then after that, it's recovery. As soon as we're done dancing and celebrating the win, it's time to start getting ready for the next day, recover. So you take all your shakes and, post workout and your amino acids, trying to get everything done. Get ice if you need to. For me, I'm big on I think they're called like air legs. I have these things called Kingfields. So like I come home and I can put those on my legs and just push a button, and next thing you know, I'm entering like a recovery mode for my legs. Eat dinner, talk to the family, and get ready to do it all over again.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned a couple of things there. First off, celebrating a win and hopefully some dance parties and some of that. Who would you consider the life of the party in the Durham clubhouse, or maybe a couple life of the parties in there?
Oh man, I would have to say Mo. Mo definitely gets us going. Our manager, he's big on celebrating our wins because he understands, playing the game isn't easy, and especially winning. There's so many things that go on. I mean, you have 27 outs to play with, and it's hard. I mean, you have guys out there who are, young guys who are coming up that are in AAA right now, and then you have guys who have been there and done that, and that are kind of, bouncing up and down. So, I mean, understanding that, getting a win is hard. He's like, guys, after a win, we're gonna celebrate. So having that as a manager and him to understand that, we're not gonna win every game, but when we do, we're gonna have a little fun with it. It's been really, really nice. Because, after 100 and I think we play 140 games now. I mean, after 140 games, whether you win half of them or you lose half of them, the days kind of just go together. So for us to allow us to have a little dance party and have a team song to go on, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. As far as players wise, Logan Driscoll really gets into the dancing. He enjoys dancing a lot. I would say he's probably the lead dancer.
Awesome. He's a good guy. Yeah, we've had him on the program a couple of times, and hopefully he'll get the call to the show before long here. You mentioned Mo Ensberg, and he was in the majors, 8-9 years, something like that. Pretty substantial time there. How big of an influence has he been, besides just livening up the team, but just as far as advice and guidance for you and the other dudes?
Mo has been awesome. I've watched Mo. So I grew up in Houston, so I got to see Mo come up as a youngin playing for the Astros. I was obviously young, but I was a huge Astros fan. So being able to see him from whenever it was then called Enron Stadium, I was a kid going and watching Astros games, and then it went to Minute Maid. But being able to see him on the other side as a player and then having him as a manager has been probably one of the coolest things. He helps mentally. He helps with the game, like kind of slowing it down, understanding it. Every day that we're out there for defense, he's out there helping us. I mean, he's just an awesome manager to have. Great vibes, great energy. He's never down. And I mean, I've had nothing but a blast playing for him. So I've really enjoyed my time with Mo.
Awesome. And then you also mentioned, obviously, in between your day in the life, from wake up to going to bed, how big is nutrition and hydration a factor in your preparation and recovery, just on a day-to-day basis?
I think it's huge. I've had a few injuries in my career, and one of them being an Achilles injury. I don't know if that played into me being dehydrated, but I do know that is a tough one to come back from. So after I did that, I really started trying to take care of my body a lot more. But the more that I see hydration, nutrition, sleep, all of it is going to help you. I think that's probably my biggest advice that I can give to a young prospect or a young player is like take advantage of everything that these guys are doing for you and what they provide for you, because at the end of the night, they can lead you to the water, but they can't force you to drink it. And I think that's what I've noticed. The younger guys who can buy into that at an earlier age or earlier part of their career, they tend to, leave the other guys in the back who aren't paying attention to the small details, because now they have a little bit more of an edge on you, especially, the sleep. It's hard to, finish up a game at, 10:30, 11, and then have dinner, and then you don't get back until midnight. Some people still play video games and stuff, and I get it, as long as you get your sleep throughout the morning. But some guys who, like myself, I can't play video games and expect my body to sleep until 11. Whether I play video games or if I don't play video games, if I go to bed at 9 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning, my body's set to wake up at 7:30 or 8. So I know that now. I have to be, if I do end up in a situation like that, then I know that my body is going to tell me that I need a nap at some point in that next 12 hours before the game so that I can be recouped and energized. But
Right.
I would say that is a huge, huge, huge bulletin in professional baseball.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And guess what? eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Just like we want to see the Rays level their performance to peak levels. Well, you know what? eBay Motors can do that for your car because they've got superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and much, much more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. That's pretty nice. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And then getting away from baseball a little bit, what are some of your hobbies outside of the game as far as relaxing or enjoying life? A lot of guys like to play golf. You mentioned a lot of dudes like to play video games as well. Sometimes it's just kicking up Netflix and enjoying that. Just what do you try to do to kind of set your mind right?
So this year I've been reading. I've been doing a little bit more reading than I have in the past. In past years, I've had my family with me. I have two boys who are 5 and 4 now. They'll be 6 and 5 later this year. And in years past, in the last 4 years or last 3 seasons, they've been with me. So my hobbies have been them. So they're going to be heading out here in the next week. So that'll be a lot of fun. But typically, whatever they want to do, whether that be if they want to go swimming that day or if we're going to go on a walk, they're big into swinging the bat. So we take them up to the field early and let them run around, and I'll set down some bases in the outfield for them to hit so that they can feel like they're playing on the field and hit some home runs. But I think my hobbies have changed over the last 4 or 5 years. I used to be in the video games. I used to watch a lot of other pro sports, but since having kids, I used to golf. And it just kind of, I'm waiting for the right time for them to be of age so that they can understand and I can start introducing them to like golf and, different things. But right now they're so tied up into baseball and watching dad play that any free time they're like, hey, I want to go to the cage. I want to go play baseball outside and run around the bases. So whenever they're here with me, that's what we typically do.
That's great. Yeah, priorities certainly change once you have a kid or multiple kids for sure. Now, going back to on the field for a minute, give us a scouting report of yourself, of CJ. Just what aspects of the game you're strongest at and what you're working on this season to improve at the AAA level and hopefully get a call up to the big leagues as well.
I'm a big believer in everything can be better, especially while you're down here. Everything's practice until you get to the big leagues. But for me, I'm gonna make the plays that should be made as far as defensively. Offensively, I'm up there trying to get a pitch to drive. I don't hit for a lot of power last year, or I didn't. The years in past, I had some doubles and home runs, so it's in there. Just kind of trying to fine tune some stuff. The trends are changing, as you can tell. The pitchers are changing the way that they're throwing. Younger guys are trying to sink it more than the older guys who are trying to spin it. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to give a scouting report. I know I'm older, but I'm just that guy, that kid that still enjoys playing the game. I work on every aspect of my game every day, whether it's offense or defense, or getting into the weight room. There's always something that we can get better at. So, I mean, I play all over the infield, all 3 spots. And like I said, I'm kind of getting locked up here. It's kind of hard to give a scouting report, but I'm not fast by no means, but I'm not slow. So, I mean, I just say I'm a ball player.
Yeah. Do you have any particular goals this season as far as stats or making certain types of plays? Just what you're looking to hope to accomplish this year in 2024?
Personally, I would like to finish back at 300. I think that's everybody's goal, to finish at a 300 clip with some extra base hits, like I have in years past. And then defensively to keep the errors underneath, 5 or 10, is always good, keeping it in single digits. Other than that, I mean, it would be sick for us to win a AAA title here, because that's something that Durham has been known to do. But other than that, I mean, just continuing to play, have fun, enjoy the game.
Right, absolutely. Now, obviously, baseball and any sport in general, you have to deal with challenges and failure. How have you kind of learned to adjust the mental side of the game and deal with that of, having an 0 for 4 night with 3 strikeouts, something like that? Just the process for you of moving on from a bad moment or a bad game or a bad week.
Yeah, I feel like you have to have somebody to talk to. You have, I mean, especially in what we do, where you show up and you're going to fail 7 out of 10 times, it can wear on you. And I think having that somebody there to hear you out, or to talk, to give you some positive self-talk, is a big key. So like for me, my wife is a big center point in my I call it mental recovery, because you can go out there and you can rail 4 balls and they all be caught, and that's a great day. And trying to understand the difference between that and then not going up there with a plan and going 0 for 4 are 2 separate different things. So really, having somebody to talk to and to break it down, as far as like what it is that you were thinking, what were you trying to accomplish in that at bat, or what were you looking for? For me, it's more of like an attack plan. Was my attack plan good enough? Or if I didn't have the right attack plan against those guys, or for those 4 at bats, can I judge my swing? Probably not. If I'm going up there and I'm just swinging and I have no plan, and before you know it, he's thrown 2 balls in the dirt and I'm 0 and 2. I can't judge those swings. Therefore, that at bat's kind of just thrown out.
Yeah.
So now if you had 2 of those at bats, instead of going 0 for 4, you look at it, you're like, man, I'm 0 for 1 with a walk, and I gave away 2 at bats. So it's like, okay, the next day I gotta bear down into the scouting report. I gotta understand what he's trying to do to me in the certain situations that he's doing, and not so much thinking about it in the box. It's more of knowing what he's trying to do throughout the game. And if you can pay attention and stay locked in, I feel like your ABs can go a little bit better, because you have a better idea of what it is that the pitcher or the whole pitching staff is trying to attack, and how they're trying to attack you.
Nice. Now, you've played long time in the minors, professional baseball, and then going back to the University of Texas, really high quality, high level Division I ball. The transition from college ball to the pros, what was that like for you? What was the biggest challenge or separation between playing at Texas to, okay, I'm officially a professional ball player?
Doing it every day.
Yeah.
I think that's when things really like set in, that I'm a professional baseball player, is that I got to do it every single day. And then back whenever I was drafted, you weren't given 6 games in one place and an off day. So we would go. There was times that we would go, 14 days straight and travel after a series, just to wake up and be ready for the next day. So understanding that part, as far as like, hey, you got to be up and you got to be ready every single day. It's not just the weekend. You don't get to have a couple of days off in between games. That's whenever it really, really stuck out to me that, hey, you're a professional baseball player, and now you have to wake up and no, you don't have to. You get to wake up and you get to go out and do what you want to do to prepare for that night.
Right. Now, at the AAA level, what's the biggest difference here compared to when you were in A-ball, AA, just as far as the speed of the game and the quality of the talent, the pitchers, what they're throwing at you? Just what is the biggest difference between, I guess, each level of the minors, but in particular AAA compared to the other levels you've played at?
I would say It's a good question. I would say that most of the guys who are in AAA, they know that they're one step away.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, they might be a little older. Now AAA is a little younger, so the talent wise is gone through the roof as far as tools and as far as the young guys who are coming up now into our game that are about to be in the big leagues is really the thing that I've noticed is they believe in themselves.
Yeah.
There's a different component inside of them. Like, don't get me wrong, we're all going to struggle, but when those guys show up, you can just see it. And I wouldn't say that the speed of the game changes too much from Double A to Triple A, because you have prospects in Double A who are doing it now. But I would say there's a little bit more thought going into the game. I think more of game plans, more of understanding. Guys know where plays are supposed to be going at all times, or where a lineup is supposed to be going at all times. And sometimes you get caught off guard, and you might be in the wrong spot. But as soon as somebody sees it and it's pointed out, everybody can see it and say, okay, I should be in a different spot, rather than whenever you're younger, I feel like you're still learning. You're still and don't get me wrong, we're still learning also. But I think the learning curve takes a little bit longer at the lower levels than it does at the higher levels.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't make that adjustment at the higher level, they're gonna expose you just like they would in the big leagues. I mean, these are guys who have done it, for 10 years in pro ball. Some guys have major league careers of 5, 6 parts of 6 years. So they've done it against the best. And if you're not willing to make that adjustment while you're competing against them, they're going to bully you. So I think that's the big thing, is knowing that, these guys are really, really good, but also they're capable of making adjustments just as well as you are.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense for sure. Now, through all your time playing, do you have a favorite memory or moment? Maybe it's something this season or in previous seasons. What stands out to you that you can look back and say, man, that was really awesome that I was a part of that, or I got to do that?
Man, I would have to throw it back to college whenever we made our College World Series run back in, I believe, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
That was a blast. We ended up losing to Vanderbilt in the semifinals, trying to double dip them. But I mean, that group of guys and what we played for, man, that was a fun time. A lot of fun.
Nice. Now, when baseball ends, there always is an expiration date. Have you given thought about what you want to do for your second career? Is it going into coaching? Is it doing something with professional sports, or you haven't even thought about that at this point?
No, I think about it. It's something to be thought about, just because you don't want to be blindsided at any point if anything. But I think my first step would definitely going back to finish my degree. I'm not sure what I'm going to do after that. I really enjoy the game. I've always been a student of the game. I think I got some praying to do to see where it is that God's going to lead me. But as of right now, I'm just being where my feet are, continuing to play. And whenever that time comes, I think I'll be led in the right direction, whether that means for me to stay in the game and coach, or, go either an amateur route of coaching, or a high school or a college route of coaching, to, I don't know, maybe leaving. I don't know if I want to leave the game. It's been part of my life since I was a kid. So I think that's something that I put more thought in later on once that time comes. But as of right now, I know I'm a little bit older in today's age, but I feel like, whenever I was coming up, there was guys still in AAA that were 34, 35. So I'm hoping that trend kind of brings a comeback.
Absolutely. Now, as far as your fellow teammates right now, is there a guy or a couple guys that you watch and say, man, they are loaded with talent, and one day they're going to be something special?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have guys. That's the crazy part, is the talent of the younger guys now is, I mean, there's guys that have every tool known to the game. For example, we have Junior Caminero, who's unbelievable. I mean, the guy can has a bazooka arm. He can run and he can flat out hit. And he can pick it. I mean, it's that guy. That some of the balls that he's hit this year has been unbelievable to watch, just to come out of on from our side. So that's been cool to watch. There's a bunch of guys. I mean, we got some young pitchers who I enjoy watching and playing behind. We have Mason Montgomery, who throws the ball really well. And I mean, you root for everybody. Everybody on the team is capable of being in the big leagues. But whenever you talk about the younger guys, I mean, those are from an offensive side and a pitching standpoint. Those are the two guys that really stand out. You got Ronnie Simon, who was an MVP of Dominican League last year, who can flat out hit and can flat out run. So it's fun. You get to run into these different guys throughout your career, especially bouncing around. I was fortunate enough to have C.J. Abrams whenever I was in El Paso. So being able to look back and be like, yo, it's not like, hey, I did a part of it. And I got to hang out with that guy and be a part of his process. And now he's starting shortstop for the Washington Nationals. And I remember taking ground balls and just hanging out with him a few years back. So it's cool to see guys take that next step in their career and become, big league baseball players.
That's great. And final question here, and then we'll let you go. You mentioned Mo Winsberg as a big influence, but also throughout your career, are there any other guys that were really influential or helpful in you getting to this point, whether it was growing up playing Little League in college or the early seasons in the minor leagues, just a guy or two or a couple guys that you look back and say, wow, I'm really grateful of what they provided to me?
I mean, every year there's one or two coaches. So if I could name them, I would. But every year I pick out two guys that I can go to, and each year, that has been my way. So this year has been Mo and Tyler, who's one of our hitting coaches. And I mean, it can be about baseball, it can be about life, but just having guys who have done it, who's been in the locker room, who have gone through the times of going 0 for 15, or that has, been in the situation of making an error in a big crucial situation, and just being able to lock back in, and them understanding like, hey, it's not your, like, obviously you made an error, but you're good. Don't worry about it. Guys who've done it and who have been in that situation, or have succeeded in those situations, those are the guys that I tend to try to talk more to. And it's not that I play favorites or however you want to see it, but it's like I just want to be able to get the inside scoop so that I can find a better way of mentally getting through whatever it is that I'm going through. Or if I'm battling something that day, it's like, hey man, like, you have any words of wisdom for me today, just to swing it around. And most of the time, the energy that they bring just brings out, is able for you to not worry about that and bring out the fun in what it is that you're doing.